Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. So about 2 months ago, maybe even 3 months ago, I don't know, I gave this big long introduction for a video series I was going to be doing, and then life happened and I was never able to get back to it. Well, I was able to get back to it, but for the good of my family, it wasn't best for me to get back to it. And I was actually able to work out some of these things that I have written down in this Overwhelmed Mama series because they were things that I needed to work on myself because life was a little overwhelming at the time. And to be perfectly honest, life is a little overwhelming right now, and it's a good reminder to do these things. The whole basis of this video series is to remind ourselves that children are a blessing and not a burden. And sometimes we can be overwhelmed in different areas of our life that are causing us to look at our children or treat our children as a burden, when really they are not the burden. They're just the person we're taking out our frustrations on. And usually when someone says they're taking out their frustrations on someone, they're sinning against that person. Maybe they're talking angrily, maybe they're not being patient. Bunch of different ways that you could be showing to your children that they are not being seen as a blessing in the moment. So I went through kind of all the reasons why you might be thinking that your children are overwhelming. And now we're going to go through each one by one in a practical way of what can we be doing to help ourselves not be overwhelmed in different areas of our life so that we can have more time to spend with our kids. The camera's doing a weird light thing, so I'm going to move just a little bit. I'm in a different room, so the light is a little funny. Anyway, the first one I wanted to talk about in today's thing is about physically being overwhelmed. Maybe you're tired, maybe you're hungry. All of those things can cause you to be so stressed within your own body that everything around you seems overwhelming. So the first thing is to make sure that you're eating nutritious food, having nutritious food around. And I know how hard it is as a mom to have things readily available that are nutritious and not to just grab the first bag of chips you see. And I'm not saying chips in general are like to have once in a while is a bad thing. I'm just saying if that's what you're always fueling your body with, your body's not going to be able to maintain the work all the way to perfection, all the way that God would want you to work in the best of your ability. I guess that sounds kind of funny how I said that, but having nutritious food available. So making sure that you have snacks that are easy to grab when you are over hungry. We as parents will say sometimes like we're hangry. That's a word that's out there in society right now, where we kind of excuse bad behavior when we're extra hungry. But we wouldn't give our child the same excuse of, oh, well, they're just hangry and that's why they're acting that way. We would say that that's wrong for them to be acting that way just because they're hungry. So what can we do to have something readily available for our bodies? So this can be very challenging, especially if you have dietary restrictions that make things harder. And that's part of my issue right now with being overwhelmed is I'm dealing with gestational diabetes. And so I can't grab the easiest thing sometimes. So I need to really be careful that I keep like beef jerky in the house and cheese and nuts and things that are okay for me to grab at a moment's notice and eat. Also, if you're pregnant, you know that something that sounds good right now might not sound good 10 minutes from now or a half hour from now when it's actually ready to eat. So having ready to eat things in your house. Again, this isn't saying that grabbing chips or something doesn't work in the moment, but to be looking towards getting your body the proper nutrition. Also, getting sleep. And I know as a busy mom, this is hard. We've had a couple sleepless nights that just have not been able to be avoided. We had some sick kids earlier in the week and some seizures. For those who don't know, our son is 11 and he has epilepsy. He's been having a hard couple nights. So because of things, we actually have not been able to sleep. Like I can't just sleep through a child throwing up, but there are a lot of times where I get caught up in possibly scrolling on my phone too late or thinking about things that don't need to be thought of or talked about very late at night with my husband when we could be doing that at another time. Are there things that are preventing you from going to sleep that could be done the next day? I know for me, making sure I put my phone down, because it's very easy to pick it up and say, oh, I need to make a Walmart order or whatever might be needed. And then an hour later, I find myself still scrolling, especially when the kids are asleep and it's quiet in the house. But when I'm doing that, I'm ignoring my husband's needs, and that's not good either. Also, having a notebook beside my bed. So if there's something that I just can't get off my mind, maybe a new routine I need to start with the kids, or some curriculum that I'm thinking about that I want to make sure I look up. Instead of picking up my phone and looking up the curriculum, just having a notebook beside my bed and being able to write those things down so that I can put it aside and say, okay, it's written down. I won't forget about it. I can do that next time. Tomorrow when I have a chance, whatever. Also, trying to get a nap or at least lay down, especially at the early parts of pregnancy, the later parts of pregnancy, having the new baby, having had a sleepless night because people were throwing up, finding a time in your day where you could take a rest. And I know that this isn't always possible. Some of my kids' needs make it that I can't just take a nap. But finding a time, even if it's just, hey guys, I'm gonna lay down with my eyes closed and you guys are gonna take turns reading me books. I'm still there, I'm still available, but I'm getting that time to lay my body down and let it get the rest it needs. Also, making a baby-proof or child-proof place in your house where you can lay down. That's how I had to do to get through my my second pregnancy. So I had Virginia, who is now 20. So this was a long time ago, but I had her and she was 3 maybe when I was pregnant. And I was just very, very tired. And so I made a whole room that was pretty much baby proof. And so her and I could be in there and I could lay down and she wasn't going to get into things where if we had been in the kitchen or near our homeschool cupboard, because we had an older child at that time too, she might have been able to get into stuff. I know not everyone has this luxury, but a lot of times you can find a time to at least sit down and relax. Maybe it's just making yourself a cup of tea in the middle of the afternoon, and just taking that time to calm your body and calm your mind and just kind of let things go for a little while. Even if that means the living room's still messy, even if that means that supper hasn't been started, sometimes it's more important to just have that time to breathe so that you can actually show Christ-like character to your children and not be so overwhelmed with the tiredness, because you're not overwhelmed with your children at this point. Being overwhelmed with the tiredness or overwhelmed with the hunger that we're talking about. Sometimes you just need that time to sit and realize that these things, taking care of yourself in these ways, is more important than the spotless house. I'm not saying to keep your house dirty, but this is I am too overwhelmed that my children are seeing a side of me that I shouldn't be showing. The other thing is sometimes when we're feeling this way, we're just overtired, we're overhungry, life is overwhelming on a physical level. Sometimes we just need to change up our day and do something where we can enjoy our children. I'm looking down at notes, that's what I'm doing. So something we can do to enjoy our children. So maybe it's stopping school for the day so you guys can have a movie day or a game day. Or we're gonna go out on a drive and put on an audiobook for the kids and just drive around and look at, like this time of year for us, looking at the snow and the Christmas lights. Maybe in the fall, looking at the change of leaves. Maybe it's going to some nature center near you and looking at the new flowers in the spring. Just something to get you out of your normal routine. Sometimes when we're so overwhelmed like this, being tired and hungry, it causes us to be overwhelmed with our house and our normal routine also. So somewhere where you can just focus on the kids and actually just enjoying them instead of feeling like I'm overwhelmed by my fatigue, I'm overwhelmed by my hunger, I'm overwhelmed by these physical things, and being in the house where I have to also do the dishes and all of those is overwhelming me more. So getting out, doing something with the kids. Sometimes it's very easy of just a picnic on the floor at lunchtime instead of sitting at the table. Reading books under a homemade like blanket fort. Taking the books outside and reading out on the grass. Sometimes even that change of pace can be enough to get us out of the physical overwhelm that we're dealing with. So I hope this was helpful. We will be back with another episode of this overwhelmed mom. Thanks for joining me on Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God.